Biscuits are cookies.
You see, that sentence in and of itself is a contradiction. Biscuits are...
cookies are biscuits.
Nope.
Cookies are biscuits.
You already said it.
God, you're so British. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Any Chat Box, episode 33. I'm one of your hosts, Craig, for this lovely day. Along with me, we have the lovely producer, Cass.
Hello.
We also have the gentleman overseas, Jonathan Josar.
Hello there.
Yes. And we are a weekly anime podcast dedicated to all things anime, the latest and greatest in each season, and topical things in the industry at large. We are the foremost anime enthusiasts on the internet. Let no one tell you different.
Not gonna happen.
Social links. Let's get those out of the way. Twitter.com/theanychatbox. Hit us up with all of your questions there in 140 characters or less. We post statuses about the episodes being released, and if we have any technical hiccups. You could also email us in long form, anychatmail@gmail.com. Hit us up with topic suggestions, animes that you want us to talk about in each season, older animes that we can get back to, possible suggestions for host choice, what have you. That'd be appreciated. We can also be found on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, and SoundCloud. Hit us up with the ratings. Give us 5 stars, please. That'd be greatly appreciated. And if you find it in your heart to be generous, hit us up on our Patreon. Patreon.com/AnyChatBox. There is no the, unlike all the other things.
We'll fix that eventually. And by eventually, I mean probably never.
Yes, we have tiers there, and rewards, bonuses. Let them entice you. Delish.
You can even make Cammy sing for you.
Oh my.
That's one of the reward tiers.
Yep.
Cool.
So,
hey guys,
go on, give us your money.
I'm thinking of adding a reward tier where we make John eat American biscuits.
You monster.
Money.
I'll sell your body for money.
Money.
I will admit American biscuits are quite nice, but they're not biscuits.
They are the essential biscuit.
Biscuits are cookies.
You see, that sentence in and of itself is a contradiction. Biscuits are...
cookies are biscuits.
Nope.
Cookies are biscuits.
You already said it.
God, you're so British.
Moving on.
Guys, we have to catch up on our spring anime. So today we're doing a double up episode. Adam of the Beginning and Eromanga Sensei. First up on the block, Adam of the Beginning. Jonathan, you passed this bad boy. You like them robots. Tell us, what's all about this and why you passed it?
Before he does, I'm not gonna lie. I when you said that, I hear you like little butts.
Oh, did it lag out for you?
A little, yeah.
Well,
so first question, before you tell us, do you like little butts?
Butts are nice.
But do you specifically like the small one?
Or do you like the big butts?
Do you like the booty?
Because I hear they don't lie.
No, those are hips that don't lie.
Yeah. Hips don't lie. It's not being able to lie about the big butts.
Big butts or little butts? Quick,
I like little butts.
Nope, yeah, you can only have one. I'm putting a gun to your head. You can only have one. Which one?
He said little.
No, he didn't. He said he liked all of them. I'm saying I'm putting a gun to his head. He has to pick one, or we're never going to get onto this review. This is going to be an entire podcast about butts if I don't put a gun to his head right now. All right,
okay,
you have 3
I do
seconds.
like little butts.
Little butts better? Bam. Moving on.
Did you shoot me anyway?
Yeah, she did. So now apparently you're out of the review, and
no, I don't need to shoot him. He proverbially shoots himself in the foot enough.
Damn, that's pretty intense. John, tell us about Adam of the Beginning and why you like it and what they've done. Who's the studio and all that rigmarole?
So the synopsis of Adam of the Beginning, as posted by My Anime List, goes: Japan in the near future suffers an unexplained major disaster. 5 years later, reconstruction is well underway. 2 young researchers at a university are pinning all their hopes on a robot development. Now their new interpretation of the eternal hero Astro Boy up until his birth is just about to start. So yeah, this is intended as a prequel of sorts for the original Mighty Atom, aka Astro Boy. It is done by the studios listed are Production IG, OLM, and Signal MD. Though I'm only going to talk about Production IG because they're the ones listed first. They're quite busy studio. They're behind works such as Attack on Titan, Eden of the East, and Ghost in the Shell, and many, many, many others. So yeah, you might have heard of a few of those.
Never heard of it in a day in my life.
You're just into their sports division cast where they like to make volleyball.
Like that, the sports division. Like secretly at this studio, they're like, okay, Fujoshi bait shows over there.
Let's face it, it's at this point, it's got to be true. They have the sci-fi division, they have the sports division, and then
What if they had a sci-fi volleyball Fujoshi show? Like, what if there is an OVA where Hinata and Kageyama play volleyball in outer space? And then fight aliens.
Fight aliens with the volleyball.
With the volleyballs.
Does the volleyball explode? Is it like hot potato?
Or they also did Kuroko no Basket, right?
Yes, I did.
So maybe we have a spin-off series where the basketball players, which obviously have superpowers from what I've seen of that show, use the basketballs to stop petty crime, and they become the hero that Gotham needs.
Are you saying now Psychopaths is mixed into this somehow? Do they judge?
Then what department do the people at Production IG go into? Which one do they... How do they do it? How do they split them up then? Is it then just like awkward cliques sitting at one gigantic lunch table? Like, we're just not gonna look each other in the eye? Like... I know what you did last summer.
What the crap?
Moving on. I'm not part of this review, guys. This is the only way I can contribute. And Hearthstone downloaded.
I thought you already had that downloaded.
Not on my cell phone, bro. I need it on every device.
John, Adam, go! Character, story, problems.
So, the main cast of At the Beginning consists of,
Adam.
Ochamizu, Ochanomizu, rather.
I can never pronounce it.
And Tenma, who are basically the two main scientists of Lab 7. And then there is also A106, who is the...
A106.
They call him A106.
Oh, did they call him A10? Okay.
A106. Or at least in the Japanese they do. I don't know if you watched it in English or...
Nah, it's only in Japanese. But regardless, go on.
Because he's part of he's the 6th robot they built in the A10 series. There's also Ran and Makoto. Motoko, rather. I keep saying...
Motoko.
Who are like members of the supporting cast along with them. Ran being Ochanomizu's little sister. And there's a whole bunch of other characters in the cast beyond those, but those five are the core members that show up pretty much every episode, if not every episode. And for the most part, it follows A106 himself, or just 6 for short. as he develops and grows, and they make upgrades, and he learns and develops his AI beyond that of just a mere robot to something a bit more. A robot with a heart.
That's the thing. I'll say the core cast, Umataro and Hiroshi. I'll just call them that based on their first names.
Yeah,
is
Umataro Tenma and Hiroshi Ochanomizu.
Yeah.
Hiroshi's easy to say.
Yeah. One, Hiroshi is Kasam. He's got a big nose. He wants to create a robot with a quote-unquote heart, while Umataro wants to create a robot that is flashy and has power and at times is at odds with Hiroshi and his ideologies of what he wants to do. Lab 7 as a whole is kind of down on its luck. They run through a lot of their funding, because it should be noted that this lab, there's multiple labs on this university, and they're like grad students, from what I understand.
Mm-hmm.
And they essentially blow their money on adventures that don't really get them far, but it seemed to be worked. They put all their resources and time into A106.
A lot of the money is blown on upgrades to A106 that Hiroshi doesn't always agree with. What was it? 1,000 horsepower punch?
Yep. Because he looks like he's steam powered.
And Umataro constantly wants to make that even greater, and he's like, you don't need more than 1,000 horsepower. 1,000 is ridiculous in the first place.
Whereas Ran and Motoko are just kind like
they're undergraduates.
Yep, they're undergraduates.
And
Rani's they essentially just hang out
in middle school or high school.
I believe so. High school, yeah.
High school girls, high school girls.
She's also a member of a robot club in her own school, and is constantly raiding the scrapyard around Lab 7 for parts that are actually still good, but don't suit what they need for 18.6, so they throw them away.
Wow. I find that interesting, considering Japan is so OP when it comes to recycling.
Yeah, Lab 7 is literally in a scrap heap.
Lab 7, you are not being very Japanese. Curse you.
Curse you.
Reduce, reuse, recycle, bitches.
John, do you like the core cast?
I do really like the core cast. Umataro at points rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah, his hubris. I've described him as
intentional. That it's supposed to be that he has these moments where he is supposed to really piss you off. And I can in these moments I really relate to Hiroshi, especially with him getting annoyed with Umataro. Although there was one point where I was getting annoyed with Hiroshi as well towards the end, but I'm not going to go into why, because that's kind of spoiler territory.
Yep.
And there's no spoilers on a Double Up episode.
Nope. There is not.
What did you think? Without going into spoilers, what did you think of the overall story of this the show? I hear you liked it a little bit more than I did.
I think I did. The first half of the series is more the hijinks that they get up to, and a bit more slice of life.
One-off episodes that just kind of focus on like a supporting character or what have you.
Or, hey, let's explore this little functionality of 8.6 while we while we have our own little hijinks on the side of what's going on. And it's not until the second half of the series that it actually gets to the robot wrestling that is featured so prominently in the intro, which I will admit probably won't sit too well with a lot of the people watching. If that's what you've started watching it for, sit tight, it does come. The fights are awesome to watch, I feel. Maybe not as hype as they may have shown them off to be, but I still really enjoyed watching them. And again, I did actually really enjoy watching A106 develop in even those earlier episodes, and
yeah, it's without saying too much on it, but it's interesting that he has a quote unquote heart, and he's able to logically. He has an AI, so he's able to adapt on the fly to situations and whatnot, and able to make judgment calls on the fly, while actually recognizing those around his surroundings and gather data. And while the show, I feel as though the opening promised me the robot wrestling or the Robo Wars or whatever they're called, I kind of wanted like a progression towards that, because I thought that the show is going to be like Gun and Build Fighters, where they're going to get their robot into the the robot wrestling, and they're going to have a tournament arc. It took 7 episodes at least to get there, and while the animation and the fight choreography was pretty dope, I felt as though a lot of the episodes leading to it were kind of
the thing with the robot wrestling is that Hiroshi and Umataro don't actually have any interest in the robot wrestling. They just see 8 and 6 as the best that they can make, and they want him to be the best, but they don't feel any need to prove it in a just brawl. They want to show, hey, he's the best because he can actually do all these awesome things. It is an outside force that kind of forces their hands to actually take part in the robot wrestling. And,
essentially.
That's when they actually submit 8 and 6, the kind-hearted child of science, I believe is what they called him.
That was his moniker. Also, it goes without saying that this is a prequel. It seems like it takes place way before like Astro Boy even occurs. Like, I even had to go and look up who Amatoro Tenma was, and his character design in Astro Boy looks vastly different from Adam the Beginning. So it's very interesting. I wouldn't want to say the show takes place like 30-40 years before even anything happens.
It is really the early days of the technology that will eventually become Astro Boy, basically. It is not that 8 and 6 is going to be Astro Boy, but he is the core start of the technology, because you don't just go, oh, I want to build a little robot boy, and just, hey, I have built a little robot boy with a heart, and it's awesome. There has to be a development curve, and this is like them actually creating the prototype of a robot with a heart and putting it through those scenarios to develop it and have it learn and actually go through the...
What they call it? They called their AI heart program like Bew.
It was a German name.
Bewusstein. Yeah, that was it. So it's interesting. John, what did you think of that production? That crisp, clean art and music?
I really like the intro song.
I really do too. The ending song is
Yeah, the ending song is just kind of there. I don't really listen to the end of the song much, but the The intro song really reminds me of Can't Beat Airman, the Mega Man fan song.
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually looked it up. I tried to look into it to find out if it was the same singer, but I can't really. Maybe they are. Maybe it is, but they're going by different names between the two or something. I couldn't find an actual connection, but it sounds so much like him. But yeah. Beyond that, the music in the series, I need to pay more attention to the music in the background series I'm listening to, because it's not often that it's not very often that I hear a song in a series that makes me really draw attention to the music. So in that regards, for me at least, the music
was very okay.
It was okay. It didn't stand out. It didn't distract either. It did what it was meant to do. So
yeah, pretty much, right?
On the other hand, the actual animation quality, they used CG for a lot of the robots, but and while if you're paying attention, it's obvious that it's the CG. It's not distracting CG. It's actually really good CG.
Yeah, it's very clean. You can obviously tell that even basic movements with 6 are CG too.
Yeah, he does move a lot more fluid compared to the other characters, which is actually the main reason why you can tell he's CG. But beyond that, it's not like, oh, that is clear. Like, you staring at a still image, it's not immediately obvious that the robot standing there is obviously CG character standing next to a hand-drawn one. The art style and the cell shading that they've used on the robots in the series really does blend well into the characters standing around. So it is mostly the actual animation of the characters of the robots, which is a bit more fluid compared to the hand-drawn animation, that actually gives it away that they are CG, which props to them, because getting CG to look hand-drawn in that sense is actually kind of hard to do, and they got it to blend in really well.
I mean, this is production IG, so they got that cash money.
Yeah, and they've had a lot of practice with it. With as I mentioned, they've worked on Ghost in the Shell. I believe it includes Standalone Complex, where they did have a lot. The Tachikomas in that were CG.
Oh yeah, the Tachikomas, all those Tachikomas.
So yeah, they've had a lot of experience with blending CG robots with hand-drawn humans. And even with the hand-drawn characters, I didn't notice any janky bits of animation. It looked the production quality was consistent and quite high.
I totally agree with that.
And when they did get to the robot wrestling and certain high tension parts, they did know where to put the emphasis to actually no, this is a bit where you need to get hype. So they do a really good job. So high marks for production, I feel, personally.
Yeah. Especially in those visuals.
Mm-hmm.
John, do we have anything more to say about Adam, the beginning? I mean, really, the only thing that, we can't even spoil anything, but, I think we covered all the bases.
Stuff that I really want to say that really sold me on it is stuff towards the end, and it's
Just suffice it to say, 6 is a pretty interesting character, and I got it kind of helps that I played Nier Automata, so I'm like, man, robots are cute, but they also robots are people too.
People too.
There is one thing that I want to say, save for some blink and you miss it moments. There's not really much that really super ties it to Astro Boy. Unless, like, you're super familiar with the franchise,
the lore.
The lore with, like, Hiroshi Ochonomizu and Utamaro Tenma being characters that do eventually come up again, I believe, in Astro Boy. I don't know. Again, haven't actually seen Astro Boy. I need to fix that.
You should. Although it's one of the beginnings of anime as a whole, black and white, all that.
Mm-hmm.
Osamu Tezuka, good on you.
Yeah, I was watching a documentary with Cassie about anime, or specifically otaku, but it was talking about anime, and they mentioned everything that went into what created Astro Boy and eventually brought it over to the West. But yeah, there's another topic for another time.
Yep.
Indeed.
Ratings.
Indeed.
John?
I give it I didn't see it out of 10.
Cass, you saw that nose. What did you think of Hiroshi's nose?
Not what I'm into.
Okay. She doesn't like she doesn't like the nose.
Not really my thing.
Not holding each other's noses and screaming that we're geniuses.
that was their bonding moment. I don't get
why they were holding each other's noses either. Like,
it calms them down. It's a bonding exercise. It calms them down. Why? I don't get it, but they do it.
Why holding each other's noses? Anyway, I want to give this a love it, but there are issues.
That's high praise.
There are issues with it that I have to admit. So I'm gonna give it a I like it. Again, there are the intro does lead on to being more about the robot wrestling than it actually turns out to be. If that's what you're getting into it, it's going. If that's what you want to see when you go into it, it's going to be a long slog for you, and you're gonna be there bored waiting for the fighting to actually happen. But for me personally, I've still really enjoyed the slower moments.
The misadventures of Lab 7.
And the misadventures of Lab 7. Though there was one episode where there was admittedly one episode, the Culture Festa episode, where there was this whole other plot going on at the same time, and something happened, and I was like, okay, so this is where the two plots are going to actually collide, and they just sort of didn't. They just continued to happen separately, and I felt that was a bit of a cop-out. I was like, okay, so what was the whole point of all of that? But although I did still enjoy the episode as a whole, I was just think that particular episode could have been done differently to actually tie it all together. It just there was a data chip, and it ended up on the table that Lab 7 were using, and got covered in flour. And then after Lab 7 packed up and went home, that was when the bad guys that was looking for the data chip actually just happened to wander over, dust it off, and find it, and it's like, okay.
Yeah,
that was
now
convenient.
I recall what you're talking about.
But,
yeah, that episode as a whole. Yeah, I don't... I didn't really...
I enjoyed the episode, but I will admit that one just felt kind of lackluster in the grand scheme of things, and didn't really bring anything super new to the table other than showing the other, bringing up, he is 8N6 because there are 5 more that came before him. And here they are. Here's 1 through 4, and 5 we've hidden in the back of the lab because we don't dare speak about it. And it looks like a fridge.
My thoughts, my thoughts, I would honestly say, if you, like John said here, if you see the opening and you think you're gonna go get a tournament arc and a story based, or 12 episodes based around a tournament, you're in for a long haul. And that's what I honestly expected and didn't really get. While I found the misadventures of Lab 7 on a weekly basis very I would honestly say, check this. This not all, like, well, obviously, John likes that sort of thing. Well, I was very okay with it. I wanted something, maybe I wanted more punching. I saw cool, like, animations and robot fights in the opening, and I didn't get that. And while seeing, and this isn't a spoiler because this is in episode 4, but, like, if you are cool with seeing 6 make udon, make a killer cup of udon because Umatero's like, yo, my robot is the bomb diggity, is gonna make the best udon, then that's really for you. I feel as though that the thing that was mentioned in the synopsis is catastrophe, never mentioned at all. So that's kind of like,
they point out the aftermath of it, like, hey, look, there's still a ruined city in the background. Isn't that horrible? Yep. And that's why we have robots everywhere. And back to the story.
Pretty much, it's just used as, like, thing to say, yo, humanity relies on robots now because of this. No, they don't really go into details as to what the world building is on that, but
what happened?
And
nobody knows.
Yeah.
Why did it happen? Nobody knows.
Just, it's okay, because we have the misadventures of Lab 7. Check it out, guys. It was something, if anything, it was very clean, and it was something different, you know? So, yeah.
Okay.
So we have
a
check it and a like it.
Yeah, and a high like it.
Okay, so now we get to move on to my garbage.
Cass, before we move on to your hot garbo, how was that Hearthstone match the entire time?
I just won. It was perfectly timed.
Good. Now,
nice.
Did you fight the infamous J Druid?
No, I fought a secret mage.
Secret mage? Why is it secret mage? It's no longer a secret because you just said it was a secret.
Secret mages, for those of you who do not play Hearthstone, and we'll have a little geeky moment because my friend Zach got me back into this game, and I remember how obsessed I was with it years ago and why I stopped playing it. And like an alcoholic who was just given a small shot of vodka, I'm fucked. But anyway, a secret mage is a mage character that uses a bunch of secret cards. So they'll have secrets. So let's say they have a secret that says, if your opponent attacks you, destroy the minion that attacked you. And you don't know it until you do that action. So it's kind of annoying. But anyway, that's another story for another day. We are not a gaming podcast. We are an anime podcast. So
what?
Maybe one day you guys can pull me on to Save Our Progress and I can rant about Hearthstone. But for now, we're going to discuss Eromanga Sensei, which was a show that I swam from last season. And I swam it completely based on the fact that it was not what I expected it to be. It was, I went into it saying I'm going to take one for the team. As I said to Cammy, because I hate Orimo, and this was written by the same person who wrote Orimo, and it was another Syscon show. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna hate this. I'm gonna watch it so I can obliterate it during our impressions episode. And then it was like, hey, listen, this is real good. And I said, okay, fair enough. And so I swam it, and now here we are today to discuss it. Before we do that, I will point out that this was animated by Studio A1 Pictures, who has done, as we've mentioned before, Fairy Tail, Sword Art Online, Shigatsu wa Kimi no Uso, Boku Dake ga Inai Machi, which is Erased, Magi, The Labyrinth of Magic. I'm just listing a ton of crap because I know we've at least mentioned some of these before because A1 Pictures seems to have something new every fucking season. I don't know how they do it and maintain the quality that they do, because if there's one thing I know about A1 Pictures is that some people, including friends of mine, seem to mix up A1 Pictures with Kiowani, and that says something. They have a pretty high, what's the word, quality rate for their shows. Whether they be older shows or not, and they tend to jump between genres as well. Like, for example, Fairy Tail is a shonen, and then you've got Anohana and Shigatsu wa Kimi no Uso, which are more slice of life, romantic dramas. So they definitely dabble, and they do get around. And this time they tried to dabble into the harem genre, the harem comedy drama romance. This story is about, synopsis time, 1 year ago, Sagiri Izumi became step-siblings with Masamune Izumi, but the sudden death of their parents tears their family apart, resulting in Sagiri becoming a shut-in, which cut her off from her brother and society. While caring for what's left of his family, Masamune earns a living as a published light novel author, with one small problem. He's never actually met his acclaimed illustrator, Eromanga Sensei, infamous for drawing the most lewd of erotica.
Ooh.
Through an embarrassing chain of events, he learns that his very own little sister was his partner the whole time. Dun dun dun! As new characters and challenges appear, Masamune and Sagiri must now face the light novel industry together. Eromanga Sensei follows the development of their relationship and their struggle to become a successful... to become a successful family, which I guess is also true, but they also want to become successful professionally as well. And as Sagiri slowly grows out of her shell, just how long will she be able to hide her true persona from the rest of the world? And that is your introduction to Eromanga Sensei.
Your last surprise.
So I guess we'll go ahead and just roll right into this. I think that the characters for this show were way more appealing than I initially thought they were going to be, especially after watching Orimo, which is My Little Sister Can't Be This Cute. The main character being in this show, Sagiri, is much less of a vapid bitch than Kirino was, which was already kind of appealing. She's just tsundere enough. And also it helps.
She's just tsundere enough. Just enough.
And that the same could be said for Yamada, who is their rival competitor, which I also found very interesting because at first Yamada is a very uppity character. You think you're going to hate her guts, but by episode 3, you really get to know what all she's about. And I found that Masamune himself, being the main character, was a million times more likable than its predecessor, and that also helped as well. There are also other colorful members of the cast I'm sure we'll all talk about eventually, but those are really the ones that we encounter the most, I would argue. And I think that they were pretty well-balanced characters. I felt like I knew who they were. There were never sudden changes in who they were as people. And I enjoyed them. So we'll see what you guys thought as well. Oh, also the character designs are really great, but we'll get to that when we get to art. But I liked the characters in the show a lot. I thought that they carried the show, to be honest. Is that it?
Yep.
Nobody's gonna say.
I agree.
Yes, words.
Yeah, I actually never finished watching Oremo, cause...
You're a better man.
Like, part of me is like, I should go back and finish it.
No!
Just because...
No!
Yes, you should.
No!
Yeah,
Don't do it, man! Don't.
Watch the ending. Just watch the ending.
Just rewatch Eromanga Sensei again and pretend that you watched Oremo.
Okay, so...
But yeah, I did stop watching Oremo because things about it were pissing me off, and like, I got to one of the endings and I kind of should have stopped there and been like, no, it's done. Good ending. There we go. Done. I'm gonna ignore that there's any more episodes beyond that.
You must complete it all, John. Complete it all.
Here's the thing. I feel like the characters in Orimo make you go into denial about who you are as a person and what kind of anime you enjoy. Whereas Eromanga Sensei and its characters make you go into denial about what their ages are.
Yeah, you'll have that.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get to that when we get to story, I suppose.
But yeah, there wasn't really any character in Eromanga Sensei that I didn't like. There was characters that when they are first introduced, you're like alarm bells, but then you actually get to know them, and you're like, I don't know, you're actually kind of cool, and it really disarms you with the series.
If anything, I was actually a little sad that, oh god, what was the name of the other author girl? My brain just died.
Muramasa.
Muramasa?
That was it.
Senju.
Muramasa, I thought was a really interesting character, because she shows up and she seems like she's going to be the bitchy rival character, and then her motivations and why she is the way she is were kind of really interesting to me. And one of the things that is very interesting about all of these characters in particular, and this is overdone in anime tons, like, all the time, but especially in this show I enjoyed, it was about, and we're going to talk about this when we, and we talked about this when we discussed Saikano, and that's that I love that all of the characters in this show are creators. And because they're all creators, they all have motivations for creating the art that they do. Mm-hmm. And while it's not super implicit in what the show is completely about, they do very often drive home that each of these characters has a dream and how each of those dreams may overlap and impede on each other's dreams, which is pretty deep for a freaking smut show. So that's another thing that I think added to the characters and really made the drama, what little quote-unquote drama there is, because this is not very dramatic, but there is some moments of drama, and they felt real, and I felt like I could believe them, which is something that I did not expect from characters in the show going in, and I'm really happy that they did that. And I'm not sure how you guys felt about that or not.
No, I agree. How their different dreams did overlap and at times clash was a really neat aspect of it that they didn't really need to do, but really helped it. So I'm really glad that they had that whole aspect, and then even when they got to know each other, they end up encouraging each other, even if they were initially introduced like, you doing what you're doing is getting in the way of the thing that I'm doing, so therefore I'm gonna cause problems for you so that I can do my own thing or I can get my own way, and they end up helping each other out anyway after it. Not saying that that's them flip-flopping on their desires, but they actually come to an understanding and realize that by helping out each other, they end up improving themselves. So I really like that part of it. So yeah, that was one of the aspects of it that I did really enjoy and really helped me carry on watching the series as well. So
how'd you feel about the characters, Craig?
Basically, you guys have covered the basis of what I was gonna say. As a whole, this show was pretty lighthearted. It was what it was. There were the characters, as you said, introduced kind of antagonistically. They were supposed to be the rival. You know, you have Elf Yamada that was essentially kind of like came off as high and mighty bitchy. Then you have Muramasa Senju that comes off as, again, kind of high and mighty and bitchy. And
mildly
then
yandere.
Yeah, kinda, a little bit. And then they all just like, yo, okay, I guess you're a decent person, and then they help each other. There's like what's known as the camaraderie. It kind of, you guys have not read / seen this, but it kind of reminded me a little bit of Bakuman, where all the different mangaka in that manga all vied for the top spot in Shonen Jump, but they all wanted to help each other improve upon their talents and fully realize their prowess, or as it were. So it was pretty cool in that regard.
I'm sure it's much better executed in Bakuman.
Fair.
I guess from there we can move on to the story, and I guess that's where we're all going to have maybe differing opinions. I think that the characters did carry the story, but I think that the story that was there, that being that Masamune and Sagiri, the siblings that aren't really siblings.
Oh god, here we go. Japan.
Well, I mean, you can't say Japan because the character, the guy who wrote this also wrote Orimo, and those two were legit siblings, and they had a... Anyway, that's another story for another day. But Sagiri and Masamune, definitely, you can tell from the very beginning, have some sort of feelings for one another. However, I don't feel that becomes the forefront of the story. If anything, romantic elements seem to almost be forgotten until almost the end of the show, and then they're never resolved.
Yeah, that's one thing that kind of sucks about it, because there is no romantic resolution, but...
It's kind of like put in your lap, and then they are just like, yeah, everyone's just kind of like doing their own thing. It's kind of like work comes first before the love life, essentially.
And to be honest, I actually kind of liked that.
Yeah,
true. Yeah.
However, I can see why that would be a little bit detracting. However, if this does get like a second season or something, you can tell that this is obviously an ongoing light novel itself, that they didn't adapt fully. So that's where things get a little iffy. There are some character relationships that are not going to come to full fruition, especially if they're thrown in towards the end of the towards the end of the show. And sometimes the feelings that they tried to impose seemed almost forced.
Yeah. There's one that really kind of comes out of nowhere. Like,
yeah, like...
You can see it was a friendship there, but then it's just... Okay.
I'm actually kind of curious as to what relation you guys are talking about.
We can talk about that later. Yeah, we can discuss it when we're done recording, because, again, no spoilers on these. But, yeah, I think the only other thing about the story that people are not very fond of is that, like, these are a bunch of kids that are in the industry. Like, really? Question mark. But you gotta suspend your disbelief here. It's anime. Like,
natural talents are blooming ever younger nowadays. The 12-year-old can draw lewds, guys.
And if you're not very fond of that, I would not touch the series with a 10-foot pole. There are very strange moments where she's put in very provocative situations. They're always explained. But it's like Craig said, it's like shake your head. Oh God, anime, what are you doing this time? But
to be fair, I think us as like connoisseurs of the anime craft, we are all under the impression that everyone in the show was 15 to 17 years old, and then when we discovered Megumin, Sagiri's friend in episode 2 or 3 says, "I love dicks," and you're like, "You're 12? What the fuck? I don't..."
Late bloomers, my friends. Hey man, they're spoilers, but not spoilers. There's a blatant penis drawn in like the last episode, so...
2, if I remember correctly, actually.
Yep, there are blatant penises on the screen, so don't watch this show in front of children, or most likely your relatives. Don't watch this show in front of grandma. It's probably not a good idea.
With grandma, she's likes anime and wants to see like something very odd.
I mean, if she's like Megumin, she likes the dicks, sure. But that's just the thing. Like, like normally with anime, you're looking at them and you're like, oh wow, they look 12, but they're actually 60. Now it's like, oh, they look 12 and they're 12.
Well, they actually are 12.
Not, by the way, not all the cast is 12. It's just Sagiri and his younger sister
Sagiri
and Sagiri's friend. Most of the other ones are actually like 50. I think Masamune is like 15, and I believe Yamada is slightly older. I can't remember. They're all around like 15, 16.
Elf, according to what I'm looking here on Wikipedia.com, is 14. I think Muramasa is like...
One of them's older.
16? Yeah, Muramasa's 16.
Muramasa's 16.
I can't really...
Moe is older, I believe. She's the...
Regardless.
The point is, like, it's very hard to discuss the plot without getting into, like, spoiler things at the end, but there isn't much of a plot here. It's just, hey, these two are trying to make it in the industry as a brother-sister duo, Sagiri and Masamune, and antics ensue. There are some moments of mild drama, and those moments of mild drama I think are executed fine. I don't think this story is outstanding by any means, but I believe that I was entertained from beginning to end, and it's there. It is what it is. It's a silly show that maintained being silly. It knew what it was, and in that regards, I think it did a million times better than Orimo did, where Orimo tried to become something that it really didn't need to be.
I feel as though, like, if Orimo was left at season 1, it would have been fine, but, like, with this, if Eromanga gets a season 2 and it kind of jumps the shark that Orimo does, then people are just gonna be like, wow, you took a show about, like, a brother-sister trying to make it in the industry also while trying to get the sister to be, come out of her room a little bit. Then it's just like, why would you ruin this? You had a good thing going.
Well, I'm not going to say any more in regards to that, because it's like, they're two different shows doing two different things, and the thing is, the brother, as much as we joke about it, the brother-sister relationship in this show, they aren't really siblings. And I feel like one of them sees the other more as a sibling than the others do. There's a blatant episode where one of them says, "I do not really see you as my sibling. I never have, and I don't want to."
The thing about Sagri and Masamune is that they are their stepbrother and sister, but pretty much right after their parents got married, for reasons I'm not sure. I mean, they get explained really early on, so I'm not sure whether I should say it or not. But
I think it's fine. Like, you find out in episode 1 that their parents passed away.
Yeah,
and that's why
right
Sagiri
after their parents got married, their parents both died in a car accident, I believe.
I don't remember. I don't think they ever explicitly say how they died or why they died.
Nope.
All we know is that Sagiri locked herself in her room and went into a major depression afterwards, after she lost her mom.
Yeah, so their relationship has entirely been Masamune making food, leaving it outside her door, hoping to one day at least even get a glimpse of her again, because the last time he saw her was right after they first bloody met. They have not seen eye to eye or had any real interactions beyond her stomping on the floor to let him know that she's hungry, or along those lines.
I liked how they gradually became, like, friends, too. Like, I gradually like how she slowly opened her door and stuff. And I'm not going to go too far into that, because that could impede into spoilers. But that's another thing about the story that I liked, is that very slowly throughout the show, Sagiri is slowly starting to become less of a shut-in. And by the end of the show, I'm not going to go there, but, like, I feel like throughout the show, it's very gradual how she changes, almost to the point where she's moving at a snail's pace. I feel that's realistic. Somebody who's been a shut-in for the last year of their life isn't going to, under miraculous circumstances, be A-okay with leaving their house.
No.
I leave my house every day to go to work, but I still have mental issues, so I don't go out on weekends most of the time. Like, there is that headspace, and I'm really happy that even at a very, very minimal state, like, minimal, what's the word for it? They put very minimal effort into it, but they still put it there, and I appreciated that.
It's shown, this isn't spoilers, but, like, there's a bit where Masamune has to leave, and Sagiri will lock the door and close the blinds and everything like that, put on her hood, and then she'll shop a version of Ami Ami just to be like, yes, figures.
But that's just the thing, like, she's too scared to even open the door for the guy delivering her figures or whatever. And when Masamune leaves the house to go on a trip, which we will not talk about what trip it is, but she's left alone in the house, and it becomes a whole ordeal for her to, like, she jets out of her room, closes all the curtains, locks the front, and like, it's like over exaggerated, but to her, it's like, oh my god, I've got to lock down the house. It's comedic, but also not at the same time.
Yeah, it is like, it was amusing with her little reactions, but the more you think about it, it's like, this is something. This is a real challenge for her to do even this, just so that she has that little extra freedom in her own home, and she only gets that while her brother isn't there. And this is even after she's gotten to the point where she will actually let him in her room.
Did Orimo ever tackle anything like that, like social anxiety or anything like that?
It did. I don't want us to go through I keep making drawings to compare a little bit, but I'd rather not get into a full review of Orimo.
Okay.
I will say that it does tackle some issues, especially with like being somebody who's really super into anime, but you're too scared to like let your quote unquote normal friends.
Oh yeah,
like,
it had
know
that
that you're into it.
Yeah,
stuff like that. Like they tackle some stuff in Orimo, but like the characters to me in Orimo were so punchable that I didn't care. But that's a personal thing, by the way. Like,
let's face it, though. I mean, people that like anime nerds, a lot of them. Fuck.
God, they're so weird. I wish Suki was here so she could just be like, "I'm not one of you people."
She'll listen to this and then she will probably write in the comments. God,
if she does, I appreciate it. But moving on, I feel like we should talk about art, which I've been talking a lot, so I might shut up. But the only comment I'm going to make to start us off is it's A1 Pictures and it's a 12-episode show. Like,
kind of enough.
What did you expect?
There, really. It's really well done.
It's very
nice.
clean.
Again, I can't think of any moment that was jankily animated. It was just really well done.
I thought that the character designs were pretty like clean, very standoutish. I will say, I like what the animation was used for. What's at the opening and the ending.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty cool.
The music along with it, the opening and endings were really fun to listen to and watch.
Yep. I love Claris.
Yeah.
Yes,
I need to listen to more Claris.
They did an Nisekoi opening, and they also did Orimo.
Yeah, they did
Orimo,
the Orimo intro.
They also did the opening for Madoka Magica as well.
Yep.
I like Claris a lot. The ED was also nice, and both of them have a cute little Sagiri dance in him. Also, the only other thing that I can think to say that good. God, I shook my table. Earthquake! There were moments of stills, and that's the only problem that I had.
Stills. Where would be stills?
Like in one of the earlier episodes, it had like students running away from the house, and it was a still. There would be moments where like a character would grab another character's hand and run off, but it would be an extended long still. Like it wasn't constant, but there were enough of them that you could tell that they were there. And I absolutely hate when they use stills in shows for longer than a couple of seconds. Also, I can't think of a single background in this anime that stood out to me, except for when they went to like Akihabara.
I was gonna say the same. I couldn't think of anything that really stood out because they kind of chilled in the house a lot in the living room.
That's not the show's fault, but it's not something that stood out.
I can also say that the music outside the opening and ending didn't really stand out at all.
Not really, no.
Again, it was an Adam situation where it's just like, if it was there, I didn't really pay attention to it, and it served its purpose, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
One other thing about the art, though, that I did appreciate, in terms of, like, the different art styles, was how each person who drew something had their own, like, art style. Like, Sagiri's art style and how she drew characters was vastly different from how they as characters looked. Which was really cool. And then later on, Muramasa does a drawing of the male, like, of a male to, like, show male anatomy, as it were. And it's done hyper-realistically. Which is really interesting in contrast to them as characters as well. So there are these little moments that you could tell that the animators had fun with playing with the art inside of the art.
Yeah, with the tablets and whatnot.
Also, one other thing about it is they really took advantage of the fact that this is the light novel was published by Dengeki Bunko, along with the as are a lot of the shows that A1 Pictures have done. So they really took advantage of having those two shared licenses, and like looking at the books in the stores, like that is Shakugan no Shana, that is Sword Art Online. Those are the actual light novels that those series are based on. And
I think I saw at one point Irregular and Magic High School too.
Yeah.
Or Magus High School. I was like,
Toradora.
Yeah, there was even an episode where the girl who like works at the bookstore was like trying to recommend light novels to Megumin, who is Sagiri's classmate who's trying to be her friend. And she just was like, oh, you could read this. And then she shows like, there's like an image of Shauna, and then there's an image of like Toradora, and like he's like trying to come up with things to share with her. And Masamune he's suggesting him to the book lady, whatever her name was, I forget.
Tomoe.
Tomoe Takatsuko.
I like Tomoe. I wish she was in the show more.
Yeah.
Same. They need to hang out at the bookshop a lot more than the house, but you know.
I wish Sagiri tried to steal her panties.
He had a quick try to get her back to the house, even if the reason was not something I'm gonna get into here. But yeah, she said no. Not that I blame her, considering the reason.
Right? I mean, honestly, I can't blame... Sagiri really likes cute girl underwear, and I can't blame her.
That shimmy pan, dog. That shimmy pan.
Is there anything else you guys want to talk about before we go into ratings, or anything specific you want to discuss? Any things that you liked about the show in general, things you didn't like about the show in general? Because I know that, like, when I rated the show, Craig, for example, you said, oh, Cassie, you liked the show more than I did. Is there, like, anything specific that, like, rubbed you the wrong way in the show you want to discuss, or?
Nah, not really. I mean, you just liked it a little bit more than I did, really. So, I mean, I get, like, on Kitsu, I rated it a little bit lower than you did, so.
What's a Kitsu?
I don't know, the thing that tracks anime. I use track.tv as well. I mean, you can use that.
If anybody wants to have access to our Kitsus, by the way, write us an email or something, and we will post them in the description. But until then, we'll just leave the YouTube links.
Yeah.
But we don't mind sharing our terrible anime libraries. I also have a My Anime list.
Yep. Or Twitter to see on-the-fly impressions of everything we watch.
I'm gonna need to actually update all my ratings for anime before anyone sees my Kitsu on
well,
anime.
You better get moving. I actually went through your Kitsu and your My Anime list, and there are some things that you just didn't rate at all.
I know.
And there's some things I'm salty about that you rated.
I've been kicking myself, and actually have been rating some series as I've been completing them.
I'm so proud of you. Look at you being so thorough a critic. That being said, let's be thorough critics on Eromanga Sensei. Who wants to?
I'll kick it off then.
Okay, that was easy.
Yeah, because you really want to know my hot takes on the show. So we've essentially discussed that the show is what it is. It is a show about a guy and his stepsister. Sorry. Author/illustrator trying to make it into the light novel industry, and they're trying to make the best of the best. Try to obtain your dreams. And they meet friends along the way, /rivals that encourage them. And I found this very... God, I can't... I'm trying to formulate words. What are words? I found it enjoyable for what it was. It wasn't a slog by any means of the imagination. No episode felt unnecessary. I felt as though there was one episode that felt kind of like they went through an arc and then they tacked on an extra episode, I felt, but that's just my opinion. I feel as though I would say I like it because it is something different and you want to see those kids obtain their dreams. Also, Elf is best girl in that show, in my opinion. But that's just me.
Don't let your dreams be dreams.
Don't
Are
let
we
the
just-
dreams be memes.
Okay, Elf was your favorite character.
Mm-hmm.
Good to know. John, you want to go next?
Sure. Hey, did you actually say what you rated it?
Yeah, I said like.
You gave it a like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I missed that bit.
I should really start saying like my rating really loud, because I think in the last week Cass is like, "What did you rate it?" I'm like, I liked it.
Yeah, so it was a really enjoyable series. The second to last episode was, I believe it was second last episode, was my favorite because it was such a heartwarming episode, and there's things that they discussed and showed in it. I loved all the cameo appearances and events that happened, even if those were, even if I could see the author with a shitty grin as he showed these cameos. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, so I am going to give it a like it as well.
Okay.
It left me with a smile, and if they did come out with a second series, a second season of it, I would totally be up for watching that too.
Yeah.
Was it my turn?
Yes, it is.
Awesome possum sauce. Okay, so in a world of anime trash.
In a world
of anime trash. I think that this one stands out. If I were to rate this show just based on the first 3 episodes, I would have given it a love it in a heartbeat. However, the entire show as a whole, I can't give it more than a high like it. Mostly because I feel like after a while, while I enjoyed the series, I did not enjoy it as much as the first initial splash into it, as it were. It's like I was at the pool and I jumped off the diving board and I got that initial rush of air and energy and water and coolness and comfort from the hot sun. And then as I kept climbing the diving board with each episode, I still enjoyed the impact, but it kind of just, I got used to it. And
do you feel as though like what was it about the original for the hot takes of the first impression stood up more than the rest of it?
Well, I feel like you can go and listen to my initial impression of it. I don't remember what episode title that was or number it was, but my initial surprise came from liking the show a lot more than I thought I was going to. And I also really enjoyed the in the first 3 episodes, they really have these sentimental moments about accepting creators for what they are, and also like how it feels to get like your first comment on something or to have your first fan, and how motivating that is. And as somebody who creates content in a lot of different places, I know exactly how
could relate.
I could relate, and I actually was really happy that something like that existed, and that's another reason why I also loved Saikano a lot. I got that feeling here from Eromanga Sensei, and I loved that. I loved that initial splash, but over time, I feel like I just really liked the show. I liked the art, I liked the characters, I liked little moments of deep that you got in this trash bin. You had little moments where there was this little glint of gold at the bottom of the dumpster, and it was great. I had a fun time, and I would watch it again with other people, because I do feel it's enjoyable, and I felt it was a very well put together piece. The music was passable, the opening and endings were really catchy, all the characters were fun, the art was bubbly and lighthearted and colorful. Like, there was nothing in this package that I could say that I hated, but there was nothing in it that could promote it higher than a like it for me either, because nothing towards the end of the show at least stood out. And I feel like because it is setting up for either a season 2 or because the source material is not finished, I wasn't able to really have a sense of closure either. So I'm just going to give it a high like it and a high recommendation. However, I will say, and this is not something we touched on too much, there is fan service of young girls in the show. So if If that is your one turn off, that is the only reason I would say not to touch this with a 10-foot pole, because there are 12-year-olds in bikinis at points, and they are actual 12-year-olds in bikinis. So,
guys, we gotta have a swimsuit episode. We gotta go to the beach.
They did have a swimsuit episode where they went to the beach.
Staple of anime.
Anyway, but yeah, so it's fun. It's good trash. I liked it. I really liked it.
Yep.
Comfort food.
Want to take us out, host?
Cool. Hey guys, this has been episode 33 of the Annie Chat Box. I've been one of your hosts, Craig. Thank you to Cass and John for tag along for this double review. Adam of the Beginning and Eromanga Sensei. Let us know what you thought of both of these reviews in the comments below on social media or through email. Did you agree with us? Did you think that we're wrong? Do you feel as though that we were fair in our assessment, or did we not discuss the fine qualities that is Muramasa and Eromanga Sensei, or did we not talk about the subtle intricacies of holding your nose with your best friend in Adam of the Beginning? Either way, guys, peace out.
Oyasumi!
Bye-bye! I am actually really curious about why Muramasa's fingers are always bandaged up, but that's
That is such a random thing to throw at the end of a goodbye, but I was wondering the same thing.
You know what?
It just suddenly popped into my mind. It's like, why was her fingers always
I think that they were always bandaged because she doesn't, and this is just purely me guessing, but I think it's because she, if you notice, like, always writes her stories. Like, literally writes them out with a pen and paper.
Yeah. She has blisters.
And,
yeah, maybe.
Like, she doesn't type up her stories. I think she writes them out first because she gets those bursts of inspiration and then just, like, there's even an episode where she just writes like, almost an entire novel just sitting there. So she most likely just, and you'll notice they're only on her writing hand. So I think she just gets blisters from writing for long periods of time on a piece of paper.
Yep, and she also draws on paper too, rather than tablet. By what I'm gathering.
Yeah. So that's the only reason I could think of.
Fair point. Yep. Anyway, bye-bye.
Now here's the real question.
Oh, what?
Why does Craig not wear bandages on his right hand?
What?
Oyasumi!
Bye-bye.
I don't get you.